Hello, and welcome to Tangents, the only show on the internet that will answer the burning questions you might have, like, what is that burning sensation when I pee? With me tonight is my esteemed panel of experts in urinary tract infections. First of all, returning from our last broadcast, Tony, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Excellent. What's new in your world?
I'm doing well. As we were talking before, moved my studio from one room to another, basically so that I could move around without chance of imminent death and having enough space. Swapped it with my office space because my office only needs like one little corner with a laptop, and my studio needs all of this. So I try to keep the two environments separate, so that they don't, I don't want this to become, in my case, this isn't work, so I don't want it to be.
Understandable. Awesome. Well, I'm glad things are getting along nicely. Your cable management looks fantastic back there. And by that, it looks like C-3PO just like ate way too much Taco Bell the day before. And it's just...
Yeah, I thought I saw some Jawas running around back there, but
I could have sworn they were trying to sell me something really they found in the desert.
Yeah, I at work with our network and cable management, I'm very, very strict. I want a very neat server room and very neat cabling, all labeled. In my studio, no, it's complete chaos and always will be.
They said
it always will be.
The cabalier's children never have any shoes, Tony.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Very true. John Haynes, thank you for your subscription. For 34 months. He subscribed.
I was about to ask.
30,
wow.
34 months.
Assuming we're starting doing this in 34 months.
Right?
That's crazy.
What the hell's wrong with you?
We could be in syndication, I guess.
I think so. Actually, this is our 40th episode, by the way.
Wow.
Good Lord. So
we've been doing this much longer than anything else I've done on the internet.
Is that categorized by specific things?
It's basically just my masturbation habits, And speaking of masturbation habits, Jeff, how are you? What you been up to?
Yeah, pretty good. Well, I mean, you gave away the story thing. So other than that, I sold some. I sampled the hell out of the Behringer drum machines, sold them, and I got one to go. Still gotta sell the RD6. Let's see what else. I've been working on a collaboration project. I'm part of this goth music community, and so we do these collaborative projects, usually about quarterly. So we're doing our Halloween projects. I've been doing a collaboration with two other people. One of them, excuse me, is in Australia, and the other one is in California. I'm in Virginia, so that's been pretty cool, and our song's shaping up pretty well. We kind of lucked out. I feel like I kind of lucked out on this one because, when you do collaborations like that, especially just like in online communities, you don't really ever know exactly what you're going to get, but our singer had to be a singing teacher.
Oh,
so she's quite good, and that was sort of like a nice surprise. She's like saying, "Oh, I can't record such and such. I have to teach classes." And I go, "Oh, do you teach classes?" She's like singing. I'm like, "Okay, good. We're gonna do all right." that was a nice welcome surprise. Sometimes people are like, "I teach classes," and you're like, "Oh, and what?" And they're like, "It just didn't like shouting loudly like a bleeding yak." You go, "Okay, good. Well, I'd love to have you." Other than that, I've been being sick and coughing and sneezing, and it's cool. I didn't get COVID, so there's that.
Good.
I just got a cold.
Well, we look forward to your mucus-filled commentary this evening. Yes, perfect. Make sure you keep like a solo cup next to you that you can spit into.
Give it one of these, yeah.
Well, I hope you feel better, and I'm glad you're working on some new stuff and everything like that. And speaking of
I'm gonna release a song too. I forgot.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I made music. I should go do that. How about we do a live reveal? I'll do it right now. I'm gonna push the button. I'm gonna push the button. I'm not even afraid to. We're gonna make him. We're gonna put a music to go live for all August.
I'm gonna
Jesus,
fucking mute you.
October 28th.
Yeah, we are releasing the new Ghostron single on October 28th. And that is exciting on X Studios, which you can go to xstudios.net and pre-order. Did you put that up live? You putting that up live right now? You pushing that button? All right, so it's now available for pre-order. So go up there and pre-order it at xstudios.net. Click on the Ghostron and go get, what is the name of that new single?
It's called "In the Future We Don't Believe."
In the Future We Don't Believe. Go grab it. Do it now.
Do it now. I don't know if you get it now on pre-order. If you pre-order it, I don't.
Nope, you'll get
know.
it. You'll get it loaded onto you on the 28th. It'll magically
Yeah,
appear
Okay.
through tears.
And undervaluing it dramatically, instead of charging $1,000 for the song, which is for sure what it's worth, it's only $1.
Look at that.
Seems mighty generous, to be honest.
I think so. And it will also be available on all the major streaming services, and including the minor ones that no one's ever heard of. All thanks to your friends at X Studios.
Woo,
The gentle laxative. And speaking of uncontrollably shitting yourself, Justin is with me as well. Drinking coffee.
Out of my elite cup. You
That
see
is
it?
elite. Wow. Old school elite, too. The first generation.
You bet.
Very smashing. What's new in your world?
Oh gosh. What's happened since we talked? Yeah, I went to Cold Waves. That was fun.
Yeah?
Yeah. What else was good? Still don't have my Juno 106 back, which is sad. Let me see. Yeah, Adam's almost done with the stuff, with the Ghost Terminal stuff.
Awesome.
We talked today a little.
Mhm.
I'm still doing the art, which I think I'm going to mention last time. I actually wrote some software that is the art. I just need to capture it and do some manipulation. And I know almost nothing about that, so it's going to be fun.
Perfect.
Yeah.
What better way to
else?
learn than to do?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's short. It's going to be like an animated, image, so it's not going to be like a video. So,
Nice.
but yeah, I should be able to handle 15 seconds of video. I think. Even I can handle that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and we queued up the Subsoma thing.
Yes. Coming October
and Cold
28th, along with Ghostron's new single, Subsoma's new single is also going to be coming out. We're doing 2 releases on October 28th, and we are excited about it. You can pre-order it now over at xstudios.net. Just click on the Subsoma link and go to, what's it called?
Low Life.
Low Life. And it's a single with 2 songs on it. So it's a double.
Yeah, it's the Hermit, which is you some days. Was kind enough to do a remix. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. So yeah, that's available as well. So John Haynes, thanks for throwing money at the Ghostron single. Now you can throw another $2 at the Subsoma single and get it on the 28th. We're here to make sure you have music and laxatives.
Hey.
We have so much music. We're doing coordinated releases, and also we need to make a bumper sticker that says something like "Get excited."
I'm so excited.
And I just can't hide it.
Just can't hide it. Yeah,
Yeah.
really. I think there's something there that's so bad that it might have come full circle to being good
And
again.
it'd be great if we had
Yeah.
like the guild navigator. I'm so excited. And he's just like kind of floating there.
Oh, and do make sure that I am resplendent with Dune memes, and I do appreciate it.
Andrew some Dune art, and he was asking me questions about Dune, and I was like, I've never seen this. I don't know anything.
He knows
about
nothing
Dune.
about it. So I told him that I told Jeff.
Oh, damn, here it is.
I told Jeff that the best introduction for Dune is for him to go and see the documentary Jodorowsky's Dune, and don't worry about seeing anything
yeah.
else. Because Jodorowsky had never read Dune when he decided to make this movie, and I still don't think he's ever read the book. And it's
Yeah.
just a shit bonkers thing that he decided he wanted to do, and it's a fantastic documentary.
It really is. He's a fabulously talented,
Oh,
weird
he's such
person.
a freak! I love it.
Oh, and not music news. I picked up a Steam Deck. I don't know if you can see it. It's in the back. Yeah, well, it's mounted somewhere back there.
Oh,
Which is the,
look at you.
Nice.
yeah. I'm a big Steam
Mm-hmm.
person as it is, and I thought I pre-ordered it, and so I'm committed to it. I actually like it.
That's cool.
So I know that's not the topic of the show, but if you're already a Steam person and you're used to running Steam on Linux, it'll be a nice portable extension for you.
Very nice. Do good gaming on there and stuff like that. Everything looks good.
Yeah, I put my library on there. I put a couple titles that will run on Linux, but the controllers aren't mapped, and there's a lot of. It's just like the old days where you had to figure that
Right.
stuff out. PC gaming, so it's not too weird. Yeah, it's nice. I like
Cool.
it.
What kind of battery life does that have?
I haven't fully tested it. Like straight playing. It's playing. I did about a playing in idle 50-50, and I want to say it lasted around for 4 hours, 5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's not too bad. It's all right. Yeah, definitely bring a charger with you if you're going to use it for any period
Sure.
of time. But but the screen looks real nice, and yeah,
Cool.
so good.
Well, if you like video games, you've come to the wrong place because we're not talking about that shit. We're here to talk about music shit instead.
Heineken, fuck that
Pabst
shit.
Blue Ribbon. Wow, look at that. We got John Haynes. We guilted John Haynes into giving us more money.
Nice.
So not only does he subscribe to this channel for 34 months, but he's also given us money for a number of X Studios releases. I think John Haynes is singularly responsible for keeping X Studios in business.
Yeah. That or that seminar you took and being a cult leader is finally paying off. Andrew.
I know, right? Or yeah, or it might be just because we just keep on dumping money into this venture anyway. Oh, anyway, wow, we actually got done with our yimmer yammering pretty quickly.
Wait, but you didn't talk about you. Andrew. What's up with you?
I keep forgetting to talk about myself. Well, let's see here. All right. Anyway, yeah, I'm trying to think.
Self-deprecating silence.
I know. Do you like that? Thank you. I'm trying to figure out what have I been up to. I pretty much finished rearranging the studio, as you can see by the nuclear fire behind me. That is the reactor that I usually put Wambra into, and yeah, everything is working pretty well. I sent back the Nemphis because it was not working correctly, and I got a new one in like 2 days, and that was really cool, and it's working great. I plugged it in and like, oh, that's neat. And then I was getting all the MIDI configurations and stuff set up in the studio, and then I just started like obsessively playing with the Prophet 6. And I'm like, oh,
Can't go
this
wrong with
sounds
Prophet 6,
so
man.
good. Oh, this sounds, and I've just been sound designing a lot in the Prophet 6 right now. I'm just really enjoying just, making sounds with it. Sounds kind of, boring for most people, but.
Sounds fucking delightful to me, man.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's quite lovely. So, yeah, that's the extent of my music stuff. I've just been busy a lot, traveling. Went up to Toronto, went to Virginia this past weekend, and I think I'm done with traveling at least for this month. So that's that. Although part of me really wants to go to Synthplex, but I don't think I can swing it.
What's Synthplex?
Synthplex is a big synthesizer hoop-de-doo in Los Angeles that happens the last weekend of October. Technically
Oh.
Burbank.
Uh,
But the keynote speaker is Jean-Michel Jarre.
I still think we should try to work something out with Subarus next year.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Because I'm definitely going to Wave Gothic Trethen again, finally. So that would be...
depending on what it is, there's supposed to be a German. The company I work for has a German parent, and
Fritz.
they are planning that when they're going to do their next big gathering of all the cybersecurity people, and I'm like, please be near Super Booth. Please be near Super Booth. Because then I can get over there and spend a day at the conference, and then the rest of the time at Super Booth.
Yeah, if we did that, we have to bring cameras. Do it official, Andrew.
Like whatever.
I'll be your boom mic operator guy. I'll just stand there.
We'd be in like competition with so many of those like YouTube people there, as well as like Actitect in the guild. He has a whole like setup he brings and like and looks at stuff. I don't think I'd want to do that, like, because I keep on thinking about like whenever we do whenever we go to NobCon, it's just like, oh, I should do like this like video of like the stuff that's there, and then I'm like, oh wait, everybody else is doing that. After a while, it's just like, I'm just gonna put my camera in front of your camera, you know.
It's a weird world.
Yeah.
Like, so when we there were two YouTubers running a stand,
Right.
which was weird.
Right.
And then I saw some other newer YouTubers, like I saw Jorb and some of those people.
Right.
Like, and they're spending all their time, not talking to people and taking videos because it's like your job now.
Right. Right. And that's the thing, right? Because I like going there and hanging out with my friends.
Yeah.
Well, let's just do selfies. Let's do stupid selfies with a bunch of people, and exactly lots of faces, and it'll be a blast.
Yeah.
You could do something like this as a panel discussion.
That was unintentional. It was very good, though.
Oh, wow.
That was on purpose.
There you go. Feel better? Did you get that out of your system? See what I did there?
I did.
Tony, are you suggesting that we get super meta and interview interviewers? Because that would be good.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Do a YouTube on the YouTubers. Track them down at the con.
Yeah, we're not interested in the synth content. We just want to talk to you, Jorb.
I think the problem with
Just like
have to give them the stare.
just pass out. It'd be like Where's Waldo? Pass out little cards and try to get stamps from all the YouTubers, and they win a prize.
Turn into fucking YouTuber bingo. This is great.
the entire time we would just be.
I've got my Jorb, and I've got my Venus theory. I'm gonna get Bo. I'm gonna get Bo.
You know what's going to happen is we'll just be following around Nick Bat
Bastard.
for 6 hours at Super Booth, which is only funny if you've seen the video of the loop of him walking around for 6 hours at Super Booth.
That was a commitment.
That was an amazing video. That was so well edited.
I really think that there's an opportunity to do a bit where you went and filmed all these YouTuber influencers in the wild, like David Attenborough doing a wildlife show, and you just commentary on this like
I love
inane
this.
bullshit that they do. I used to do events, PR, and social media for a company for work, and I did like the video thing at a bunch of big shows.
Mm-hmm.
Like I did E3, I've done CES, and I've
Nice.
done Gamescom in Germany, and a bunch of things along those lines. And
You even done Star Wars celebrations according to your IMDb.
done Star Wars Celebration. I was on TV with Disney. It was a good time.
Mhm.
And wow, was it a pain in the ass to do that work at a convention? And 0 out of 10 do not recommend.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't want to do it.
See, I could see someone going there with a camera crew and then like doing it almost like sports coverage, like golf coverage, and be like, "Here he comes. He's walking up to the Malevolent. He's adjusting the volume. Oh, he's adjusting the curve. Oh, he's playing a chord. It's a G minor. He's playing a G minor.
Look at him go, and ladies and gentlemen, he is turning the filter knob. Bo Beats is attacking and decaying.
we could just use like found footage. We could just steal stuff from the YouTubers and do our own.
No, it'd be better
commentary.
is if we just started doing that when he's like when he's filming and just keep doing it until they look at us like the fuck.
Yeah, you run the risk of
Well,
turning it.
it's like a documentary. We can't interfere. We can't.
Yeah,
help.
sorry. Yeah, this is the prime directive shit. Sorry, guys.
I'm not trying to compete with synth punk, so I don't think I want to muscle into that space.
Here, Simon the Magpie. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Now that we've told everyone a formula for getting kicked out of NobCon.
yep. You're welcome. This is just one of the services that we provide here at Tangents.
We provide bad advice that we ourselves would never follow.
Yes. But please follow our bad
whomever-
advice.
We might.
Oh, well, we should probably turn to the news, shall we?
Let's
No.
do it.
All right. So there's news. Jeff, you want to be our news poster?
Yep.
All
I
right.
got them up.
Awesome.
News the first.
News the first. Zoom has introduced the Zoom R12, which is a new digital Porta Studio. Even though Zoom doesn't make Porta Studios, that's Tascam, but we'll let it go. And this is a portable studio with an FM synthesizer built into it. Yes, the FM synth craze has hit multi-track
Yeah.
recorders. A match that we've been looking for years.
It's very weird. It's a very weird little thing. They've done a bunch of these Porta Dash studios, not capital P, capital S Porta studios, that have drum machines built into them, and a lot of the drum machines actually sound like really good. On these, I want to say it was like the R8 maybe. I don't know. They have dumb names that I can't remember. So anyway, some of the Zoom ones have like legitimately good drum machines in them, and the FM synth is kind of weird. The other weird thing about this one is it only has XLR inputs, which is very strange.
But they're not multifunction. They're just
No, they're
Just
straight.
that
No, they're
part.
multifunction. They're multifunction. Looking at the back of
No,
it.
they're multifunction.
Oh, they
Yeah.
are? Then that's a different picture.
Yeah,
on their
they can be either or.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's good because the original
but it's only got two.
website did not show them as Nutric connectors.
Okay.
Okay, that's good.
I'm looking at the thing, and my question is, who the hell is this for?
It's for guys like Jeff who love Porta Studio.
And FM synthesizers and drum machines.
I guess if you want to go truly DAW-less, like soup to nuts, this is how you do it, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's only got a stereo input though, so you're going to have a mixer too that's going to go into this, and then you might as well just
We'd be multi.
get a 1010 music box for a little more, and then that can be your mixer and your recorder.
Who I think this is
Logic.
for is somebody who is primarily like a guitar player or a singer or something like that who would be laying down one track at a time.
Or a
And they want an FM synthesizer instead of a drum machine to do that.
Well, it does have a drum kit in it as well, so it does have a drum
Yeah.
sound.
Oh.
So it has that too.
Yeah,
Well,
FM is particularly good for laying down bass. So you can do like really, really good bass sounds that sound a lot like a slap bass on FM. So I haven't heard any of the presets of it. They haven't put anything out, but I would be really unsurprised to find out that this has some things like that and some pianos and organs and stuff in it.
Well, it says it's
I just wonder. I wonder who they had. I wonder who Tascam had, or who they had, or Tascam had,
Zoom.
Zoom, who they had make the FM synth. Because as far as I know, they don't have anything that they could have swiped in house
Yeah.
for that.
Well, John
It's
Haynes
got-
says, isn't the synth engine and the Teenage Engineering miniature mixer thing also an FM synth? Did some silicon company just release a chipset that everyone has integrated into their products or something?
Oh, maybe.
That's
can't give me
actually
that for, Sega Mega Drives.
that's actually why Yamaha FM chips ended up in everything, because they made the little 2-operator chips that ended up in everything, and they were also used a lot in phone systems. I don't know what for, but yeah. The FS1R, the chip that I knew some of that worked with Yamaha. The chip that made the synth engine in the FS1R was swiped from the phone system division that Yamaha apparently has.
I'm guessing like in-band signaling, maybe, like they used to
Something.
do. Yeah. They
The most I know about phone systems is I know how to dial and I know how to pick up an answer and how to ignore my voicemail.
they ran out of Captain Crunch whistles and they needed FM.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's got a sequencer play thing that's kind of interesting. I can see it as a accompaniment or a backing track kind of tool because, the number one thing with backing tracks, as you well know, Andrew, is, the 3 R's of backing tracks: reliability,
Yes.
So maybe this is small, it's cute, maybe it's durable. I mean, they show a guy playing bongos to it. It can't be all bad.
Right.
It's got so there's a software that Zoom makes called Guitar Lab, that uses it's for their guitar pedals, and this incorporates directly with Guitar Lab.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what that's why I got there with the idea of it being sort of like for a guitarist who wants to lay down some demos at home.
Mm-hmm.
So it's replacing the 4-track, the good old-fashioned
With a 2-track.
I think so.
Fostex.
It's so you can spend $300 instead of just spending $10 on an app for your iPhone.
Yeah, but this also gives you an FM synth, Tony.
And it's tactile, and it's portable, and you don't need
And
a computer.
ironically enough, there's
you can get it to the dollars thing, you know.
outside of the
I get
USB
it.
connector, there is absolutely no way that I can see that how you play this FM synth unless that's a touchscreen on there.
It probably is.
Oh,
Can't
you
throw a
think
rock without hitting a touchscreen these
Yeah,
days.
fair.
You think it's just preset only, maybe? Like there's no actual...
Yeah, maybe.
You could probably do.
That would make sense. If it's preset only, that would totally make sense for guitarists. Guitarists are not programming FM unless they're, I mean, they're like the kind of home guitarists they're like looking at this for. You know.
Yeah, they're not gonna be like, how many operators can I put on this thing?
Unless they're Jeff. Again, Jeff, you fit into that circle
You
again.
do.
Look, I'm just waiting for Tascam to re-upload or re-up on the DP series, but honestly, one of the things that drew me to this Allen Heath Q32 gigantic desk that you can't see because it's just out of frame down here is that it's a Porta Studio. I mean, it's not portable, but it actually is the same thing. You can do an entire mix on it. I do use a computer, but for mixing. Because it's not very good for it. Function there.
You can do it. It's going to be crap, but you can do it.
I like things that record.
That's a plus, I guess. Even if it records poorly.
It records just fine. Look, Alan and Heath, if you're listening, I love you, Alan and Heath, but both of you, Alan and Heath, I think you're both great. The thing is, you lied to me, Alan Heath.
Oh.
You did me dirty, and you told me that the Q32 was a super, super good studio centerpiece, and you praised its onboard capabilities, and as a 32-in audio interface, like it's large, but price-wise, it's actually like not a bad deal on just for being a 32-in audio interface, especially because it has also 32 faders for turning up the volume of each channel on it. But the EQ on it and the compressor on it, which are the two most important effects on anything, are sledgehammers. They are only useful for live use. So it is probably like the EQ and the compressor on it would be very good for a live venue, but they are sledgehammers and not suitable for studio use. And the effects on it, like it's got like some reverb and stuff on it. Again, like they're probably fine for live use, but they are clown shoe in the studio. They're like absolutely not reasonable at all. So
Yeah, I mean, I guess you have to move into like a Neve or an SSL desk if you really want that level of...
Well, here's the thing. So, like, I have this... I don't guess it's visible. I have another Allen and Heath mixer. I have a MixWizard WZ162 over there, which is a 16-channel analog mixer, and it does have some digital effects, and the EQ on it is bonkers good.
Weird.
The EQ on it reminds me a ton of an SSL EQ. It's the same sort of like sweepable setup that the SSL has. It sounds like it. It's pretty good. It's very usable for studio use. It doesn't have a compressor on it, and the effects sound a ton better on that one.
I mean, that's the whole thing, is if I had endless space and money, you'd want outboard everything, right? And just, augs everything out, compressors, effects, everything, right?
Yeah.
I still think to this day some of the best mixes I got were running AUX chains on stuff through a Mackie mixer, just because I felt like I had really granular control, and the way things sort of came together in buses just sounded better. I still struggle with DAWs because I never feel like they...
The Man, the Mackeys sounded so good as long as you didn't overdrive the preamp on them. The preamp sounds terrible the minute you overdrive it on so many of the Mackeys, but everything else on them is like really good.
Mhm.
Yeah, I got rid of all my medium-sized, my Soundcraft and my Mackie. Mackie's the one I used way back in the day, Andrew.
I remember.
I used it for both studio and live use, and it was always good. It was always good.
Mhm. Yeah, so if you
I think I
I still have my LM3204 over there.
nice.
I still have a Mackie mixer sitting down here that I use sometimes. I've had it since the
Never
90s.
sell a Mackie mixer because you will always find a use for it. One of these small format mixers, you will always be like, I just need something. I have like 2 or 3 of them. They all have like they're decades old now, and they've all been dropped from a high shelf at one time or another, and they've got dings and dents, but they still mostly work.
Yeah, those Mackies are like tanks.
Yeah.
When I sold mine, I had some of the sliders I had to surgically bend back into place. I mean, they still work fine. You know, I didn't misrepresent anything.
I just got rid of a 24-4 Mackie mixer, and I donated it to a school.
Oh, was that the Kevin one? That thing was a beast.
Yeah, it was a big old piece of shit.
If I had my way about it, I would not have gotten this Q32 if I had a time machine. I would go back and get one of the Allen and Heath Z436s, which is the analog one, and I would have just gone like hardcore ham on finding another of the Motu 16As, and then just done 32 ends simultaneously and had 32 round trips on analog instead of the.
Oh, because the analog is pure analog. It's not like it doesn't function as an interface, is what you're saying. Yeah.
It's just straight analog. I mean, it's got a 2-in 2-out interface, which is, I don't know. Like, I guess you could do something with that, but you got to be super committed to whatever you print at that point.
Yeah. But then again, if you're using your DAW just to record stereo out, I guess, if you can do that.
Yeah. But that's why I would do the 30, because it's got the individual channel outs, which is what the Mix Wizard also has. It has the individual 16 mono outs, which I was just running into a Motu.
Mm-hmm.
Womp womp.
Womp womp.
Somebody needs to invent a time machine. That needs to be our next piece of news. I mean, Moog kind of invented a time machine.
They kind of did. So if you've got $12,000 sitting in your pocket that's burning holes through it, then you too can invest in the Moog time machine.
Right.
As they return from the past
It is.
with the Model 10 synthesizer. Dun dun.
With the oscillator that everybody at the time detested the shit out of.
Yes.
They made this thing, they're like, make one that stays in tune. It doesn't stay in tune. I can't play it.
Yeah.
Everyone's
I can only imagine Wendy Carlos throwing it down multiple
like,
sets of stairs.
You tried to multi-track it 700 tracks deep, trying to do switched on Bach, and it's like 4 cents out of tune every time she does it, but in a completely different direction.
Yeah.
It's a wonder you could even tell what chords were played on some of the music that was recorded with that thing.
Oh God, yeah.
It doesn't even pretend to stay in tune.
Absolutely.
So as long as you're playing it by itself as a solo instrument, it's awesome. You just play it with drums. It's just like the new 303.
Even drums is questionable.
Yeah, I wonder if they. I mean, I know that the Mini Moog, they put some bells and whistles on it, but other than that, the circuitry was like the same ish. I mean, I wonder if they've come up with ways to stabilize these.
Well, it says it's a faithful recreation, so probably not.
So the Mini Moog had temperature compensation.
Faithful.
Yes.
And so it did have some allotment. Like they did things to try to keep it in tune, but also it had that A440 test tone on it. So you can very rapidly tune a Mini Moog.
Yeah.
This thing drifts like a monster. And every demo, like I've heard some people doing some demos on it. It sounds really good, but you can tell. But like from piece to piece, like
It's drifting.
in a different key.
Yeah. And I'll just wait for the people that spend $12,000 on it, and then they complain about the fact that it doesn't stay in
Right.
tune.
No, that's a feature.
It's like it's a faithful recreation.
It's too
You
bad.
know,
It really is.
blowing all the ugliness too.
Yeah, it's really not.
Yeah.
It's,
So much. so much good stuff has been made with Moog Modulars. I mean, from obviously so much, but it's too bad.
So yeah, they released this
But-
as a limited run back in 2019. And now they're releasing it again, I think, again as a limited run. But they're all
A limited run.
like 2000.
You keep ordering them, we keep making
Yeah,
them.
exactly. Well, they're all built to order now, so there's that.
Oh, I see.
So
Yeah. They actually just got their first order since 2019, and that's when they restarted production. Like, actually, nobody even tried to buy one.
yeah,
for 3
right, because
years.
they're all scared of it.
It does sound good though. It is a notably unique sounding oscillator, that model on there. And despite, I mean, like, not even just because the oscillator drift and the tuning, it sounds really cool. It's got an almost kind of it makes a lot of like woody tones, kind of. I don't know. It's very organic and sort of like smooth and round.
Mm-hmm. Like me.
Yeah, I think that was probably Bob Moog's aesthetic. I mean, I've often wondered about that. Like, was he, I know he was a musician and he pioneered a lot of stuff, but it's like, I wonder to what degree he was like, how should I put this? He seemed like kind of a person who had this sort of symbiotic, like he could look at electronics and feel for what it was going to sound like.
Yeah.
I don't think it's kind of like synesthesia with electronics. I think that's pretty cool, but maybe was it his palette or just what he was working with?
Mm-hmm.
But definitely has wonderful sound. But I don't know who the hell could afford like $10K on something like this. And then honestly, to get the full effect, you need the $6,000 sequencer that goes with it. And yeah, you can just get the SQ64, I guess.
Yeah, you can get the Model 10 with the Duophonic keyboard for only $13,199 on Sweetwater right now. So
Steal, man. I get to
right? I mean, you got your S4800 going on right now. So why don't you just sweeten it up with a Model 10?
Drum machine. I can probably
Yeah,
buy now.
sell that R6, and then that way you can pick this up.
Yeah, if I was like Trent Reznor rich, I'd probably have like 5 of these sitting somewhere, but
It probably does.
it's just not a reasonable thing for
He complained like a crazy man about the Model 15 that they did a little while ago.
Oh, really?
He's in the We Make Buicks thing about it, and then he is a really good interview. Dan's CM Computer Magic.
Yeah.
She did an interview with Trent Reznor, and it's really good. And he's like ripping on the Moog 1 in that one, and in other interviews he's lost his mind over the large format modular because it doesn't stay in tune, and he's like, I don't know what to do with it. I just go out and make some noises, and it's delightful, and I love it. Also, I hate it. I don't know what to do with it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty funny to me that like Trent Reznor has trouble with it because I don't know, people can love or hate Nine Inch Nails or come in wherever they want to on it. Trent Reznor's like crazy good at sound design and synthesis, and he just sort of stares at things like, I don't really know what to do with this thing.
Okay, boomer. No, I'm just kidding.
Wave hand over an Oberheim 4 voice, and it like behaves. Which it doesn't do for anybody else.
Jeff, can you turn yourself up a little bit? You're a little bit quiet.
I can.
Cool. Thank. Yeah.
Is that better? Is it worse? Can you hear me better now? Which is probably worse. I can turn myself up a lot.
You don't have to turn yourself up a lot, just a bit. You're fine. Calm down.
But what if I give it like 80 decibels?
What if I tell you to
compressor?
shut the fuck up?
I was kind of hoping this was turning into a Spinal Tap conversation, but I guess it got a little aggro instead. I don't know.
I mean, I did actually turn my fader up to 11, I think.
Thank you, Jeff.
I did what I could.
Oh, God.
They only go to plus 10, but I get one a little above the 10.
Yeah, that's why you become the drummer of Spinal Tap. Oh, boy. So, I don't have a good... Jeff, you're much better at the transitions than I am.
Master.
Give me the segue.
Yeah.
I mean, the segue just comes to you like it comes to daddy. If you
Oh, nice.
That was not a
That
good
wasn't
one.
great,
that was
but I don't know.
pretty fucking terrible. Well, speaking of terrible segues, this one is one of them.
What?
Recently, our old pal Richard D. James has released a plugin called Sample Brain, and it's free, and it's got a really shitty looking interface.
It's insane.
It looks like Windows 95 in its interfacing.
It's insane.
So what this thing does is it chops up samples into little tiny interconnected small sections, and then they're called blocks, and you can connect them into a network, for want of a better term, like by similarity on the sample, and then you can process it and chop it up and make it go nuts and stuff like that. So it's just like so weird. Who installed it?
Yeah. It's I've heard really cool stuff that's come out of it.
Yeah.
I heard I mean, like it's interesting because clearly this is fairly new, and it's definitely not something that Aphex Twin has had, especially on like, I don't know, like drugs or something like that. Or in the earlier days, like definitely did not exist for that. And if you put a decent set of stuff into it, basically Aphex Twin just comes out of it, which is kind of interesting because it makes it really obvious that this is like Richard D. James' brain in a software system. But for anybody who hasn't actually used it, what you wind up doing is, like, let's say you load it like 5 samples, and it hacks up all 5 of those samples and then creates like a cloud of stuff from all 5 of them at once. And it doesn't care what sample it's pulling from. It looks at like the actual sample data to decide what it's going to pull from. And then it does all kinds of bizarre stuff and spits out very weird things. It's definitely in Comic Sans MS. It is extremely hard to use. I did play with it for a while, and I've talked to a couple people who also have played with it, and it is nonsense and kind of it's very much like grasping in the dark to make it work for me.
Huh, okay. So it's not exactly the most musical tool in the world.
Well, he did that thing for the base station. Like, I think he was involved in like
The AFX mod, or the AFX mod, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird too, because I remember demoing that here in Sin City in Chicago and being like, yeah, I mean, look, I think it's cool in one way that he's like, look, I'm going to bring my weirdness to this, and I'm not unapologetic about it, rather than someone that's like, I'm going to use the cachet of my name to release a sample bank that no one could give a shit about. So I'll give him some cred for that, for being weird and uncompromisingly fucking weird, and huzzah.
Yeah, it has a manual, technically.
Wait, what?
It was like, okay, I don't actually understand any of this, really. It has like a novelty setting. I don't know. It's very weird.
It's not supposed to
As long as it says, does it have a random patch generator?
It sounds like it kind of already is.
I mean, kind of. It's difficult to describe. If I were to try to make it make sense to somebody, it feels like kind of a granular sampler. Like it kind of takes grain things, but it looks at the sample data like in the waveform to look at similarities in the waveform by like frequency range, and then it goes, oh, this grain looks like this grain, and then it recreates like a brain of these things and lets you mix them together in weird sequenced ways. And you can do things where it does like different algorithmic ways of thinking about the brain, and it can do things by like shifting the frequency, and it can sequence some, or you can use it with some sequencing, and it can do weird stereo stuff. It's like, it's a lot of things. It's very clearly like the thing that Richard D. James has always done, which is like, he'll take a synthesizer and he's like, oh, that's cool, let's break it. and it's just that. It's It's really
No,
weird, and it probably only totally makes sense to him.
Let's make a piece of software and not pay any attention to user experience at all.
It's that, or it only paid the attention to his user experience.
Exactly. Well, yeah.
And it's like 100% the thing that he wanted. And yeah, I mean, it has like settings for novelty and boredom.
Yeah, I just found the boredom switch.
Yeah.
And stickiness.
It's very weird. Yep.
Yeah.
Boredom. Oh yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so this is kind of wackety. But the cool thing is that it's free. So if you want to lose your fucking mind and don't want to pay money for it, get this thing.
That's assuming I haven't lost my mind already.
Well, you might have
Maybe
lost your
it'll find
mind,
for
but
you.
not like this.
Maybe I will find my mind. It will lead me to a new understanding of my life.
And then destroy you again.
And that I should have pursued goat farming instead of being a musician.
You know, the second time that goat farming has come up to me today.
It's a
I
sign.
think it is. I'm going to go farm some goats. Bye, guys.
Hey,
Okay, I'm back.
just let me have some of that feta cheese, man.
You
That's all I
know,
ask.
you're in line. And speaking of cheese
And recording of goats.
and recording of the goats that you have farmed, Audacity has the audacity to release an update, version 3.2. This is the free open source audio editing software that is popular with a lot of people. And this gives you surprisingly a decent amount of features.
Yeah.
Considering that it's free and open source, they're finally giving you real-time effects support, whereas before you applied your effect destructively to your audio. Now it's just like a plugin that you can plug into your track or your audio and stuff like that. It gives you full VST3 support as well, and it's now native for Apple Silicon as well. So the thing that this is really kind of like turning it almost into like a recording software. I'm not going to say a full DAW because it doesn't do like MIDI or anything like that, but you can do multi-tracking on this and everything. And now with a non-destructed effects processing and stuff like that, this thing really kind of brings it up a little bit more hardcore into
Yeah.
into the
Have
recording
they
world.
done anything? Have they done anything to improve the user interface? Because that's my problem with it. Has always been, it's been a little bit. I mean, there are people that they started using audio editing. They learned audio editing on it, and they can fly around it. I can't. It makes me insane for some reason.
They've
Something about the way that UI is set up.
they've tweaked the UI, but that's about it. They didn't really like improve it too much. They just kind of like added some tweaks to it. I think that one of the things that they did do is they've made it so it's a bit more scalable and stuff like that. And they've made some of the menus a little bit easier to get access and everything. But otherwise, it almost looks exactly the same.
Yeah. Tantacruel took ownership of this thing a year ago. And he basically had said that, we're going to make a bunch of big changes to it. And my guess is this is sort of like the first batch of them. I wouldn't be surprised to see a big date come in the future, but it would be pretty silly to do a UI overhaul before you know what features are going to be in it. And then you wind up doing sort of like 2 UI overhauls.
Yeah.
I just think it's a weird thing. It's just so weird. It's just incredibly successful because it's free, and that's it. I mean, I've used it in a pinch too. I get it. It can be used for lots of cool stuff. I mean, it's kind of cool. I mean, I see it's supporting VSTs. Obviously, it's not a DAW. It's still kind of what it is, and yeah, I hope it kind of stays in its space, and I hope they don't start. They don't get rid of the freeware version of it, and
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah, I mean, so far
I-
so good. I don't see that happening. I think that if anything, it's right now it's just making it a lot easier. This thing is basically made for like junior podcasters and like DJs that want to put their stuff up on like Mixcloud or something like that, so that they give the opportunity to tag the music and stuff like that in the in the WAV file and just dump that into an MP3 or whatever. So I see it more as kind of like that kind of utilitarian use. They're definitely gearing it more toward podcasters right now with the things like the ability of doing the non-destructive effects and stuff like that.
Sure. It's funny. I was scrolling to the end of this page, looking at the comments on the Synthtopia article, and Christoph made the final reply on the bottom of this. I was like, he's here in spirit, making posts on Synthtopia.
Oh yeah, look at that.
How funny.
He's everywhere. He's ubiquitous.
He is. Even though he is out of town, he is traveling the world seeking new strange creatures or something.
Going to Germania, right?
I believe he
Going to
is.
Hamburg.
Yes. So, and then Robin is doing, I think Robin has a swords thing this evening. So she's probably murdering people. Like you do.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And speaking of murder, how about that Ableton Live 11.2 update?
I murdered my wallet. This is the update that made me buy the update from 10 to 11.
Oh, shit, son.
Yeah. I've used Ableton for a super long time, and the I don't know, like 11 didn't really add much. They didn't do many versions. They only went to 10.2, and then they went to 11.
Mm-hmm.
And 11 was basically 10 with comping, and I was like, I don't care. I don't need that.
Right.
So I got this one because it adds a bunch of stuff. So it adds the AUV3 support.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all these new Moog things that
Yep.
will run with that, which I thought was pretty cool. And they changed a few other things with some of the native plugins, which I didn't care too much about, but I thought it made it pretty interesting, so I got it. It's good.
It's stable, looks good, feels good.
Yep, it's good. I like it.
Very good.
I haven't updated yet. My studio's been in pieces. I mostly use Bitwig now anyway, so I've been kind of holding off on updating it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It doesn't like my Mac for some reason. Ableton doesn't. I don't know what it is. It takes forever to load on my old Mac.
Hmm.
Huh.
So I've been using Bitwig more.
My Mac is from like 2013, I think. This one's like a 20
Yeah, I don't.
Mac. And it's still hanging in.
Yeah, I don't know what I did. I just get the beach ball all the time
Huh.
on it, and it kind of makes me crazy. I have no idea what it's doing, and then I click something, and then it goes into the beach ball again. And
That's
this Mac has been beat to hell, and has it's probably time to put this one down.
It's time to start running Linux on it, Tony.
Because you hate your life.
No, I mean, you can use it as something, do something else with it. Do some fun with it.
Just send it to me.
Oh yeah, I'll find some other use for it, but I'll probably end up using it as like a fancy Apple TV in the other room.
There you go.
There you go.
I like a lot about Ableton. It's not perfect, and I do think that
Yeah.
without a really good control surface, mixing on Ableton is like, I don't know, it's like pulling off your toenails or something. It's just terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've got a good control surface, mixing on it's fine. But there's a lot that I do like about it, and this new update was pretty cool. And I don't want to use Logic ever again. So getting the AUV, I used Logic for so long. Like even I was using Logic when eMagic made Logic for Windows, and
Yeah.
it's just gotten so, like, I get why they've done it. It's not that I actually think it's gotten bad or anything. It's just very bad for me. Like, there's a lot of people for whom Logic is probably very good. I am absolutely not one of them. It is a dumpster fire now for me. and I saw what they did with Final Cut. Like I was also using Final Cut like fairly professionally, and then it got like hacked out from under it.
Yeah, when they
Like,
released
the
10, it
changes that
was
they made.
it ruined Final Cut, but it improved Logic somehow.
I mean, parts of Logic have improved, and then like it's so everything to everyone now.
Yeah.
It's way more bloated than I want, and that's the thing that I do like a lot about Ableton is that it can be very slim, like Studio One.
Yeah.
But I like doing loopy stuff in Ableton more.
Yeah, I can't click with the Ableton. I just can't wrap my head around the process of the scenes or whatever you call those things and stuff like that.
The clip view.
Yeah, the clip view.
And for me, I've the 2 albums that I've done have all been done in Ableton, and now I'm switching to Bitwig. But I never use the clip window.
Mm-hmm.
I just hit the first thing I do when I open Ableton is I do something they don't want me to do, which is I hit the tab key, switch to the arrange view, and I just work there. And I'm happy.
Arrange view more than the clip view. The only time I use the clip view is if I specifically want like, I don't know, like a 4-bar drum loop or something that I record in, and then I just want to like repeat it over and over. I find it easier to that.
I'll create things on the clip view, but it's immediately drag it over to the. It's more like a pool of stuff that I'm going to drag over to the arrange view.
That's how.
And I only ever used it once seriously when I was playing with an Ableton Push that I had borrowed, and I realized a clip based songwriting just isn't for me.
Yeah.
Yep. Agreed.
Justin, you writing a cron job over there about this? What's going on?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm Googling something about this topic. Actually, about the next topic. My bad.
What is Ableton?
Yeah, pretty much.
Simplex says Ableton shines in live performance. I do think that Ableton is good for live performance, but I have always found Ableton to be very unstable. On every computer that I've run it on, it's crashed a ton. And I've used it live, and Ableton is the only thing that has ever taken a live show down for me. And I used it live for years, and it blew up in the middle of several shows. Yikes. I don't care in a studio use, like, because it has really good recovery of stuff when it crashes. Like, it never loses anything. So in a studio, I don't care. I just go, shit! And then I restart, and like, it's fine. That's all it takes. But on a stage, it was not good.
Yeah, I think the only DAW thing I've ever used live is Mainstage in Logic.
Yeah.
And that was perfect for what I was doing, because at that point I was writing all the music in Logic, using a lot of using using all soft synths and stuff. So just being able to take those channel strips and just bring them right over into Mainstage was fantastic for that.
That's a lot of what I was doing in Ableton. Like, I had sort of like a bunch of backing tracks. I was in a 2-piece that was sort of like synths plus death metal, I guess. And so we had guitarist who was singing, and then I had backing tracks of drums and bass. They were just audio, and then I was playing synth or pads, lead, whatever on a VST Live, and the other stuff was just audio, and it blew up a lot.
Yeah. We would I had a backing track of just drums, and then everything else was like live synthed. And had 4 members, and each of them had a keyboard controller that they would that just plugged in, and then each of them had their own channels and stuff, and they would just do everything like that, and that worked incredibly well. And it was also nice because we had I had like the K station up on there as well, so when it was time for like vocoder or Lovin', then you just click a button and the microphone that I was using would route over to the other members' K station. They would be playing that while I was singing and stuff, and so I was able to do all the vocoding and shit like that with that, and it sounded cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so doing those routings and stuff like that through the audio interface was just fantastic. It's
a shame it didn't have song mode though.
And It did not. And up until very recently, neither did the Electron Digi kids.
Weird.
But then they changed that. And now your Digatone, your Digitact, and your Syntact all have song mode now. I think the only piece of kit now that doesn't have song mode is the Analog Heat. Get on that, Electron.
The cycles.
Those don't count. The models don't count. The models are like are like
Nobody
Tonka
has
toys.
those.
Those are garbage. You know, did you notice what was missing at the Electron table at NobCon?
Dignity.
The model synths.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dignity and Mario. Mario was missing there too.
Yeah.
He's on paternity leave. So yeah, the Electron.
Innovation.
Oh, come on now. The Syntact is great.
It is. I love my Syntax, but it doesn't really. It's nothing really that new. It's just some of their other stuff that they packed into another box shaped like their other box.
Yeah, but they also gave it analog effects too.
They gave it red light.
Basically, it was their other boxes put into another box with a red display.
So Tony,
I have it. I love it, but
you've walked in late to this argument because Andrew and I had basically the exact same argument.
When the Syntact first came out, we had that discussion, and I said, "I'm still going to buy it, but damn it, why aren't they making something new?"
Yeah, I mean, it did feel a little like sort of, Frankenstein's monster situation.
Actually, Korg made it like 20 years ago with the EMX Electron. Basically that.
Yeah, but this one's more successful.
And my when I first got it, I was like, I should have gotten the EMX again because that had song mode. Well, they heard
There
me.
you go.
They have
There
song
you go.
mode.
And also, this has something that the EMX doesn't have, and that's support.
Fair enough.
Does it have tubes though?
No, but it has an unexpired. It does have an unexpired warranty.
Oh, that's the infamous Korg
Yep.
tube.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
They put that in the weird stuff. Like they put that tube in the King Korg, which is like their really horrible VA that they made.
I
about
still don't
10 years
understand
ago.
the King Korg at all. I always thought that was just like, what? What? Oh God, your naming system sucks so bad.
Yeah, it was built for doing Lady Gaga covers, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure.
So yeah, song mode comes to the Diggy Bros or Diggy Sibs or whatever you want to call them. That's cool. It's pretty easy to use. Every YouTuber, of course, announced it and showed you how to use it. So we don't really need to dive into anything as far as that's concerned. It is nice that they've added that to those devices. Those devices are already pretty powerful, pretty strong. Say what you will, like the Digitact for folks that are just getting into music and stuff like that is just like a great overall brain to use for the rest of your studio, and it kind of grows with you as well as being a sampler. So you have a nice sequencer that gives you freaking 8 MIDI channel sequencing, which is really nice of them to do that. And now it has song mode, so it even becomes more of a cornerstone for your studio if you're getting started out with that kind of stuff.
I mean, it feels a lot like the old school MPC song
Yes.
modes. I mean, you're just like listing tracks basically, and then repeats or multipliers. That's all you really friggin' need, honestly. I mean,
It's very close to the one thing I miss that I wouldn't give up from my MPC is the Digitact. Still limited to four bar pattern.
Yeah.
sure.
You can't have, and sometimes, the way I work with my MPC is I work usually patterns are more like song blocks. So you might have one that's 16 or 32, or even just a very, you can have a whole song embedded in one of their patterns.
Mm-hmm.
But the Digatone is very rigidly four bar block.
Yeah.
So you can kind of fudge that a little bit when you get into using the probabilities and the I can't think of what they're called now. They're
The
kind of
parameter
pattern
locks,
functions.
the P locks and stuff like that, and the
Well, no, they have those.
sorry.
The trigger conditions.
conditional trig. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trigger conditions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We made many good uses of those in the spooky days.
Oh, yeah.
They were those are great.
Still do.
Yeah, you could clone and manipulate, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is another way to go. But yeah, I mean, is it as full featured as that? The thing is like the Electron, sometimes they just nail it. Like they've got everything you'd ever need. And sometimes they're like, look, this is our workflow. This is our jam. Either you like it or you don't. And then they add on features like this that aren't maybe necessarily full featured, but they kind of get you there to where you're going.
Yeah.
But I think before that, it was kind of like, hey, this is people use it like this. I mean, let's be honest, lots of techno people use this stuff. And there's a reason for it, is it perfectly fits into that paradigm because you just want things to be sort of mutating and sort of going, and you want to control the dynamics. You don't want it to be, statically arranged, which is my background, is statically arranged. So obviously that would stress me out. And I think spooky stressed me out more than, in terms of forcing me to blow my mind in terms of workflows.
You just got irritated because I wouldn't let you save anything.
Yeah. Yeah, you would somewhat fascistically at the end of the night be like, everything's getting turned off. I don't want to see any saving. Click, 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 click.
Oh, just flip the power. You're all fucked now. Bye.
Yeah. Yep, indeed.
That was a fun way to work.
Good times.
Oh, yeah. Sorry for stressing you out so much.
It's cool that Mario did the video for this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Mario and Enrique, because Enrique is no longer with Novation. He moved over to Electron, so which is pretty recent.
Yeah.
He's been at Electron for at least 7 years.
You mean Novation?
Novation, yeah, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, he fanboyed for Electron though.
Oh, yeah.
I wondered about him because he's a very popular YouTuber and his demos are cool, but he didn't spend a lot of time flogging Novation gear.
He used the Peak a lot. He would show off the Peak a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, like in
his
a lot
of
videos,
circuit videos and stuff. He did a lot of stuff on the circuit back in the day as well.
Sure.
But yeah,
he's very good at being subtle about it. He's very good. Now I work for Novation, but that's not why I'm showing you.
Yeah, you can do this on any synth, but I'm going to use the Peak because I like it.
Well, I watched this stuff on the Kijimi and the Pro 3, and I'm just saying he did a lot of other stuff. So it was kind of like, I wonder how Novation felt about that, right? They're like, you work for us, and if you're going to be doing,
well, even if you look at like some of the official Novation videos, they're using a lot of other people's gear too.
I see.
I got
nothing against
like
Novation.
what's his face? What's the other guy that does a lot of videos for Novation? The British guy works for Novation.
Mylar Melodies.
No, he's not like a full YouTuber. He's just an Novation guy, but he's like in a lot of their demo videos. I can't remember his name off the top of my head because he goes by some goofy name. But he was using a dig attack to sequence the Peak and stuff like that. And he was even saying, this is a great sequencer and I'm using it because it can keep up with the Peak. But yeah, and I think, when I was talking to Enrique at, NobCon, he said that he's been hanging out over at Electron a lot lately because they're right around the corner from his house. So.
Well, that makes it easy.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, good job Electron on not just employing Enrique, but also on getting song mode on the Diggies. Let's see what else they come up with next. It's again, I don't know if I think the only thing that they're missing at this point really is like a wave station synth.
How about a record player? Are they missing a record player?
Oh my gosh.
No. Nobody's missing a record player, but Teenage Engineering decided that you needed to have a record player as part of a pocket operator. They're using the pocket operator nomenclature for a record player because fuck your marketing.
Here, go to the second picture of the little kid, and as I saw that, and I had an epiphany. I was like, finally, I understand who Teenage Engineering is marketing to.
Children.
Yeah.
This is a rebadged, repackaged existing product that they took from somebody else, and they're using literally some of the same marketing pictures. They just took a product that already existed and said, "We made this, and here it
They
So
is."
what's next?
They
Play-Doh, Legos. What the fuck?
They
are gonna
literally
do next?
silk screen the Teenage Engineering logo onto this little record. And this isn't just a record player, to be fair. You can also use it to make your own records.
Woo.
Yeah,
Yes.
Tony, I think something has happened to your mic.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Tony.
Yeah, I see you talking, but I don't hear you.
I think it's time to charge your AirPods, son. What's this button for? No. No. What if I put my finger here? No. No. Well, while you're doing that, until we hear you again, the PO80 Record Factory Kit. Exactly. So this is a portable record player and record cutter. I like that they say that it was made in collaboration with Yuri Suzuki. It was made by Yuri Suzuki, and they
Years ago.
years ago,
Years ago.
just like the IKEA furniture and shit like that as well. I think you're coming back in now, Tony. And then his video stops working.
He's
Never mind.
he's froze.
Oh no.
No, he's completely frozen.
Rip.
Maybe he's just done with our shit.
Todd,
Yeah,
player too.
this marketing is just some of the most blatant, friggin' hipster marketing I have ever seen. I don't even know. So many house plants, so many man buns. I just can't even deal with this. It's too much.
So I can't even with this. There's like so much going on here. I was on another Discord, and I like that Jeremy Blake from Red Means Recording is just kind of like, this thing is just a pollution machine.
Yes.
It's gonna cut these vinyl records that you're only gonna listen to like twice before they stop working correctly. And they're gonna sound like complete and utter garbage because they're made so cheaply and so badly. And it's like, it's not even lo-fi at that point. There's just like no fi at all. It's just like
it's a garbage factory.
oh yeah, yeah. And I like to like experience the warmth of lo-fi audio.
Nope.
Could I just experience the warmth of my Japanese toilet instead?
Oh my god,
No
right?
kidding.
Because the Japanese toilets are actually built for like, they have heat in them and stuff like that.
That's what
Yeah,
I'm
they're
saying.
actually
And they talk to you and they make you
are the
like having a positive
they're at the
experience,
forefront
and,
of toilet technology.
telling you.
And this is definitely an example of the forefront of toilet technology, because this looks like shit.
Oh my god.
So
I think the next thing we should invent, Andrew, I think we should come up with the sound nozzle. I think that should be the next thing.
ew.
Do not look at the
Let's
nozzle.
look into the nozzle. So this thing is going for $150. According to their website, it's already sold out.
They had 4 up there. Good for them.
Right? It does say it is not recommended or intended for children 0 to 12 years of age.
Wait, what the fuck? There's a picture of a kid on
I know.
it.
There's literally a picture in their advertisement of that is clearly a under 12-year-old child.
It's like, come and buy our meatballs. Meatballs not for human consumption. Like, wait, what?
Yeah, the heart.
The
It's like
they're dumb. And they're, sorry, they're just dumb. The fucking OP1F or whatever it's
The
called
field?
is dumb. It's dumb. The OB4 $800 shitty radio, that's dumb too. This thing, dumb. They've made a handful of products that I think are not dumb. None of them are these products. They did make an interesting computer case that's $200. That's probably a little too expensive for the computer case, but it is interesting and kind of cool. So I'll give them that one. They can have their $200 computer case. Not so bad.
The weird drum machine that John Haynes just posted up is kind of interesting as well. The CHD4.
Yeah, that's the one that they did with Love Halton, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a pocket operator modular thing that they did that is explicitly, it's like an art piece to raise awareness and money. So good for them for making that.
Yeah.
That's good. And they made a desk. And the desk that they made, they don't do the desk, I don't think, anymore. But if you search for Teenage Engineering desk, you'll find the thing. The desk was very good. And the desk also was that and the computer case are like kind of cool.
Yeah.
Everything else is dumb. And anybody who buys from Teenage Engineering is bad these days and should feel bad. There's a time when people could buy from Teenage Engineering and not feel dirty about it because they're like, oh, this is kind of neat. And the OP1 wasn't $14,000.
Right.
So you're talking about their mini ITX case, Jeff, for this thing here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
I never
actual,
heard
like
of this.
metal panel thing. It looks neat.
Well, according to John Haynes, the computer case is awful. It bends. The computer case bends under the slightest stress. It's utter garbage.
I did
Is it
that.
like
Well, JK, then maybe it's a piece of junk, and I thought it looked cool, but it turns out I'm mistaken, and it's a bad.
What was that modular kit thing they did? Remember that thing was real bendy too. It was like made out of fucking.
Yeah,
The pocket operator modular thing that would give you metal cuts. Yeah.
80% of them just didn't work or something.
Yeah.
It was made out of like tin and broken dreams.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know.
Welcome back, Tony. How you feeling today?
Like I need a new computer.
Well, we can hear you now, which is good.
That's good. That's good. Everything like I just was checking to see what the battery level on my AirPods was, and the whole screen just went black. Just
Surprise.
crashed. So that was just a symptom of something else going on in the background.
Well, we're just finishing talking about the Teenage Engineering PO80 record maker player that they didn't actually do anything except remarket it.
They even did less than that because it's actually a kit that you build yourself, and the other one you can buy pre-assembled for less. So this is like an Andy Kaufman level troll on their own customers. I really think it is.
The experience, the sense of accomplishment that you get, you charge extra for the accomplishment.
Well, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
So it's just the opposite of most kits, where it's like if it's a kit, they're going to charge you less for. Now it's if it's a full build, then we're going to charge.
What if we sold X Studios music that you had to assemble yourself?
I kind of like this idea. Like we can sell you the whole album pre-done for, $2, or we can give you the assemble yourself kit, where it's just basically just photos of all the knob settings, but we're not going to tell you what we used, and we'll charge you $25 for that.
Yeah.
Go retro, and just give them a blank CDR.
Oh, there you go.
Nice.
With one
branded CDR.
With the album cut
with song titles on it, but it's still blank, so they have to write their own songs, and those have to be the titles.
That's like the Aphex Twin remix of that Nine Inch Nails song, where Richard James was hired to remix a song, and he was like, "I hate this song," so he just wrote a new one and handed it back.
I love that idea. That's great. Or like we can go like remember those things, those like transfer things that you'd have to like you make your own little like scenes when you were a kid. This is like something that old people had. What was those like I think Color Forms, same people that made those. And you take like a pencil and you rub it on there and you make like a scene with like Superman fighting ninjas or some shit like that.
Yeah.
So maybe you do something like that, and it's just like pictures of like toilets and stuff, and then like make an X album and like flying Death Stars and whatever. And I'm surprised no one even mentioned my Death Star behind me.
We can't see it for your pulsating light.
It's right there.
Yeah, dude, I can't see it.
It's
there's
my
nothing but
old school
pulsating light.
Death Star space station from like the
Oh
1970s.
yeah. It's
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can't
I
really
see
see
it
it on the.
now.
You have to see it on the. It's on the. You can't see it through the camera that's on there.
You just see the
can see it on
Death
the-
Star Barbara side of it.
Yeah, you can just barely see it, but if you
Do you
see
have
it on
do you have the little rubber trash compactor monster?
the. Yep, I had the
in there?
the Dianoga. Yeah, I sure do.
Yeah. Yeah, I still have mine.
Yep.
The rest of the set is gone, but I still have that thing somewhere.
Excellent.
John Haynes says we could sell a note a month on a subscription like the Franklin Mint.
I'll bring over my Castle Grayskull and my Guns of Everon, and we can. play
Okay,
in
I'm
here.
down with that.
We could put a note into Studio One version 6 like every
We
month.
could actually we could use the power of Sphere and share that note of the month.
The note of the
The
month.
note of the
club is
month
very
club.
good idea.
In that we'll
Wow.
be releasing soon in Studio One version 6, which just came out the other day.
This month's note is D Shop. It's
But first, you have to purchase the
That's
X Studios
great.
plugin so that we get the same sound that we're using and stuff as well. Which is just a barely relabeled Omnisphere.
Hey, if they're
If Teenage Engineering can do it,
If Teenage Engineering is going to make shite hardware, we should make shite plugins. I think it's only fair. It's like, wait, like the Emperor's plugin, that's going to be my favorite one. That literally does fucking
Yep.
nothing, but people think it does. Yeah.
so Studio One version 6 that just dropped the other day, they tweaked a lot of the interface. And
didn't add a lot.
yeah, it's pretty much a quality of life update more than anything else. They give
It's not big.
they set up a video track on there now, so you can do synchronization with audio and video. So if you're like doing music composition for soundtrack work and stuff like that, they add this lyric view thing. So if you're punching in lyrics into the notator, then it will just dump out as like a screen, so that way your vocalist can just sing those sing those lyrics however they want to. They add some updates to the production tools and stuff like that are in there. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, it's quality of life improvements.
Yeah.
They did do some cool,
Although,
like
you know
the
what?
Impact XT improvement's kind of cool, where you can like take a drum loop and just toss it in there, and it will just be like, all right, I just cut it up. Here you go, and you're all set. That's handy as hell. That's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Well, I wish they had gone farther. Like the customizable stuff, I love customizing my interface. Sorry, this was about to turn into a Liberty Mutual commercial, but no, I don't think they went far enough with it. It's not granular
Yeah.
enough. And I'm like, why just go like 80% of the way? You know what I'm saying? Like, and the template stuff, like, is
Yeah,
just dumb.
I
It's
mean,
something-
Logic has that too, and I've never used that. I've always just like, look, give me a fucking blank slate. I don't want you to use your bullshit.
Only for people who have never made a song before. It's
Yeah.
exclusively for people who are, what's a beat?
Right.
You know, the best thing they did, in my opinion, with this version is kind of under the hood, and not really, they don't talk about it, is and I already use Pro EQ3.
Oh, the sidechaining?
Jeff, yeah, basically the EQ sort of sidechain feature stuff. That is just bad.
Yeah, that's stuff that was in. Was that Ozone that we were using that had that in? I can't remember.
Yeah, it might have been. It's a mastering tool, right? Which is what. I mean, anybody that does that is cool. That's really smart, and that solves. If I had had this when I was mixing the last project, I would have been so much happier because, you know, I mean, you can do automations obviously, but it's a fucking pain, and this is great. So,
So yeah, that's nice. They put a de-esser. Thanks, guys. That's cool. And a vocoder. I've not touched a vocoder on it yet.
everybody's got a vocoder. They're like FM synthesizers. I get a fucking double T. It's got an FM synthesizer and a vocoder.
I know my Prius came with a vocoder. It's kind of weird.
Too much.
Yeah. So, you know, it's all right. Like I said, it's mostly just quality of life improvements. I am a Studio One user. Justin, I know you're a Studio One user. Jeff, you've used Studio One in the past.
Yeah, I use it. I like it.
Yeah.
I think their latest the game adding video though, because it's
Yeah.
already so well handled and other things. Like I don't know, I would go to the mat and argue that Ableton is the best for video
Mhm.
syncing. I've done so much sound for picture in Ableton. Ableton's got such a strong timeline gridlock. And you can like infinitely zoom in, and it just keeps giving you more grid, and it keeps like interpolating the frames. It works really well for when you want to sync a sound with a movement or an image on the screen. I've done an absolute like mountain of work
Mhm.
for commercials and and like web video production, and I don't know, nothing else. People have used Cubase for a long time for
Mhm.
that, and I've used Cubase for it, and I think Ableton smokes the pants off of Cubase
No,
for sound for picture.
I think
But that's the thing with Studio One is I worry about it because I love it. I very
Mhm.
much love it. I like some of the directions they're headed with it, but you're going to get into that keeping up with the Joneses DAW problem.
They shouldn't bother. They should just be good at what they're good at,
Yeah.
because they're not gonna beat Ableton or Cubase. Like Cubase is a solid second, but
Sure. I mean, people use fucking Logic for that.
yeah, I
too.
use
mean,
use
there's just a
Logic for
million
doing
choices.
video, music for video.
yeah.
But I
I
mean, and
use
that's the thing,
Logic.
really, is that it right now, ever since they did get bought up by, who was it, Gibson or Fender, one of those two?
Fender.
Yeah, Fender, and that's the biggest worry, is that they're going to start looking and saying we need to keep up with the market, because Studio One wasn't known for being keeping up with the market. Studio One was being known for being fucking Studio One, and being just kind of like this rock solid digital audio workstation that you could do whatever you need to do with, and it was just very
Right.
easy to get around and work in and stuff like that. And it did what a lot of DAWs don't do, which is get the fuck out of your way and let you make music.
Especially
Well, who it's competing against? What's that,
especially
Jeff?
for
I'm sorry.
audio rather than MIDI.
Right.
Like, so many of them are so MIDI focused.
Right.
And MIDI's fine in Studio One, but it is very, very like good for audio.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah, get back to basics. I mean, I went back to Reaper. I was so frustrated with Logic for a while, and until I walked into Studio One, because to me, it's like, who is it competing against? You're not going to compete against Abletons and Bitwigs. It's not your jam. Who it actually competed against effectively was like Cubase and Logic, and I mean, I think those are the users that it attracted, and really effectively. So I know you can't always keep the magic in the bottle forever, but I hope they are able to stay focused past this corporate merger and keep giving us what we want. Like you said, Andrew, stay out of the fucking way. Like, I would like it to be able to be even more minimal. That's why I was pissed about the templating. It's like, no, I really want it. I want fucking nothing until I see you're there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Tabula
Yeah,
rasa,
go hide
you know?
in the drawer until I need you, kind of thing. Is I just need a timeline for now. Okay, cool, and that's great because I can turn off all the other bullshit and just have a timeline up, and I can just work on that.
Yeah.
And then when I need to start working on the mixer, then I can go, turn off the timeline and turn on the mixer and just work in that bullshit world, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, they give you all
And
that
it was-
shit. They give you mixing and mastering
Yeah.
views, so why not? Like,
Exactly. And so my biggest worry is that it's just going to get lost in the feature bloat universe of digital audio workstations. And it's just going to be another kind of like erp-de-derp kind of thing,
But they should be worried because they don't have the loyal fan base or the long-term use of other DAWs,
Right.
And no like studio presence either. There's a lot of big studios that have like deeply entrenched roots with Pro Tools, with Cubase. You've also got some that like have weirdly deep roots now with Ableton and FL Studio,
Right.
especially for like EDM and hip hop, like studios that are really focused on that. Like big pro studios still even are like running a 30-year-old version of FL Studio, like whatever they bought it, and they're still getting their free updates.
Right.
But yeah, they don't have the entrenchment there.
Yeah. I mean, I've known a lot of people who've abandoned Pro Tools for Studio One,
Yeah.
but
Pro Tools just gets worse and worse and worse. Like it was never great, but it just gets worse and worse and worse.
Right.
it was the right place at the right time, and it got digital into a lot of otherwise analog studios, right? And
think,
And then
I think
that was it.
ASCAP and BMI have done too, where they would just go and like chase people down for usage,
Mm-hmm.
and they made their system so locked down that they monopolized.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's Studio 1.6, a quality of life and improvement, and hopefully they don't get too fucking stupid, and bloated, and then get really, really overpriced and expensive and silly. Kind of like Complete,
Yeah.
which was finally released. Good job. Complete 14, Contact 7, and something called Choir Omnia. Native Instruments just released the flagship production suite. Available now, starting at $1 million. No, starting at $200 and going all the way up to $2 gajillion, or $1,800, depending on what you think money is. So folks that live in the Complete, the Native Instruments ecosphere and stuff like that, are probably really excited about having to upgrade everything again this year, and pay for the privilege of continuing to use that before their Complete 13 phones home and decides it doesn't want a license anymore. Tell us how you feel, Andrew.
Yeah, it's too bad Christoph isn't here to
I know,
about
right?
it.
That's
so,
why I figured I'd just kind of mix that in there.
Complete 7 was the one that did me dirty.
Yeah,
Stopped authorizing, and I was like, well, never again.
yeah. Oh, and they also dumped Absinthe out of there as well. But we had that conversation last time.
yeah.
Is that a
we
good
did.
thing or a bad thing? Well, I guess it depends on who you ask. But yeah, that's
Yeah. I did have to update recently because I do use Machine 3, and I was like, well, I see they've got a new, all this new stuff available, and I'm like, I'm just going to update it because I have to. But it's like, to me, like the contact libraries and stuff are I mean, they're super useful, but at the same time, like I'm not the kind of user that's like starving for features, So like Contact 6 to 7 was like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like, okay.
Yeah, from my perspective, all that changed was the splash screen. I mean, really.
That's huge.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, all right, that's good. And again, if you're invested in the Native Instruments ecosphere and everything like that, and this gives a lot of people, a lot of cool things, I guess. Contact is very popular with soundtrack producers and folks like that need that
Sure.
kind of content. They also Complete 14 also comes now with Ozone 10 standard, so that gives you a very powerful mastering tool that Native Instruments bought when they bought Isotope, and that's the Ozone 10 suite.
I forgot about that acquisition. Yeah.
So that's now inside of your Complete 14, starting at the standard version. So yeah, that's, like I said, that's starting at $199 for Complete Select. Complete Standard is $600, and I'm sure they have upgrade pricing and stuff like that as well, depending what version you have and where you want to go and everything. They probably have a whole path to make sure that you can get that done right.
Good.
Do you know what doesn't cost any?
I will probably.
What's that, Tony?
I was going to say I'll probably upgrade, but I'll wait till they push it on sale or something.
Yeah, they should do that around the holidays, yeah?
But I don't have any rush. I don't see any. There's nothing in there that I absolutely need, and I already had Ozone.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for giving me what I already had through finding a neat way to make me pay for it twice.
Yeah.
Ozone's been getting a lot worse too. I think like the isotope stuff is, I think in general like is pretty good, but the more they go like harder into the AI and less into the like individual user control, it's really not nearly as good.
Well,
the AI stuff makes me nervous because the AI is just going to make everything sound the same.
yeah.
I don't even know. I think it doesn't interpret what your intent is very well. I don't know that it's going to make everything sound the same or not. I mean, maybe it will, maybe it won't, but it does a really bad job of interpreting intent, and I find the results of it to be like really pretty poor.
I think that what's going on is that they are going after bigger markets than, mastering engineers and stuff like that. We can make, $1 million off of mastering engineers, but if we go for the podcasters and make this really easy for them to use, then we can make billions of dollars off of that instead. And so they're just good. They're following where the money is, which every company is going to do that kind of thing, but it's going to come at a sacrifice.
Yes.
And do they care about those small mastering studios or the home studio folks that are using their tools for their mastering enough to make this product so you don't have to do the AI thing that you can do a manual kind of stuff, or are they just going to say fuck you and go right to where they think the money is?
Yeah. And you can still do it manually in Ozone. It's very hard. Like it gets in your way, and I don't know. I would point anybody to FabFilter over Ozone at this point, or anything Isotope. I would point anybody to anything FabFilter over anything Isotope.
Yeah, it's too bad because I really like some of the tools a lot.
Yeah.
Luckily on Tangents, you get pure audio,
still
unfiltered and unmastered and completely shitty sounding for your pleasure.
Perfect. Neck still really good.
Yeah.
That's the vocal one. Their vocal thing is still really solid, but I wouldn't really recommend very much else.
But you know what I would recommend? I would recommend updating your Cobalt 8 to firmware version 2.0.
So you can update it.
I'm right on it even as we speak.
Yeah, we were just talking about the Argon.
Yeah, so they just did the Argon.
I can't tell them apart. What's the difference? One of them.
One is a wavetable, and one's a VA.
So the Argon was the.
Neither of which I need, both of which I want after playing them at NobCon.
They sound so good.
Right? Right?
Yeah. And they have rack mount versions, and I have that. I build my own big rack, so
in your
find space for that.
Oh, you're talking about the M, right?
Yeah,
the Cobalt 8.
They make they make those sweet little rack versions.
Are they standard like rack mount like whatever?
Oh yeah, they had them at NobCon.
Yeah.
They had one in the rack.
Mm-hmm.
One of them.
So
rack.
cool. Yeah, nobody gives a shit about rack mount specs anymore, but I love it. I still use racks, obviously.
Yeah, I just that thing in the back there was my. I built it in the garage this weekend. So,
Tony, I generally don't
And
say this to a
I've
lot
had
of
all the
guys,
gear
but you have a great looking rack.
Thank you. I had to do a hack for the Iridium, which is use a VESA mount to regular rack adapter.
I was going to ask you how you got yours in there because mine's just sitting on a stand, and I'd like to put another one of these racks on the other side in that corner.
Dude, I'll send you the link to the one I bought. It wasn't that expensive, and it's cool because the only thing that's fiddly is you have to attach the VESA mount and then mount the whole thing in and then screw the racks in. So it's kind of a two-person job, but yeah.
Synthlab asked if I have a Cobalt. I do not. I just like how they sounded. They sounded great when I was playing with it at NobCon. And if I did get one, I would get the rack version.
That vintage filter stuff, the vintage setting on that thing sounds just badass.
Yeah, the filter
if you're
sounds.
Bless you.
The filter sounds so much better after with the update, and they with the reverb, it just sounds better than it did before.
Yeah,
much better.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So they added they added the a vintage parameter on there, so that way it gives it that nice analog what they call oscillator free run, to get that classic synth, sound, or you can probably crank it up and make it sound like a Boards of Canada song. They give you only 27 new filter types.
I didn't know there were 27 filter types.
I know, right? I mean, this everybody comes with like a Brita filter and, a filter for your fucking hot tub and all this other
filter.
shit, It probably comes with a band filter and they're going to like say, hey man, nice shot and that kind of thing. And
if you live in Chicago with recent revelations about lead poisoning here, I think you need.
Yeah, you might need 27 filters now for your drinking your Chicago water.
Yeah. I grew up drinking the Chicago water, and it's always had that little metallic taste. It's part of why you drink the water here.
Yeah, I don't know. I bought 2 kits because I have a filter. I bought 1 kit for to test the pre-filter and 1 the post to make sure it's. Anyway, enough crumbling infrastructure.
Never. So they just did a whole lot of improvements. Like I said, 27 filters. They've improved the effects on there. And yeah, I mean, they just did a lot of nice little improvements on there, and it's a free update. And I like that they decided they went and put out a whole bunch of. They came up with a new sound library as well for that version 2, because that's how big of it did. So here's some new factory presets, because the current ones don't really express how much we've done on this thing. And
the only thing I don't like about the 61 key version of this, and I guess this is my complaint actually with the new HydroSense 2. And I know I'm asking too much, because I get that from an engineering perspective, if you're adding more keys, you don't necessarily want to add more electronics. But I feel like there's a real shitty use of real estate on on some of these new synths, because it's like, oh, we'll just make the keyboard bigger and give you some empty space to play with. Who's the one company, Andrew, that made the thing where you could put a laptop on it?
Well,
is it not?
No, the HydroSynth.
The HydroSynth Deluxe is big enough for a laptop, but it's not big enough for the HydroSynth module, which is weird because because you can polychain them together, and and use all the voices on both of them. Why wouldn't you? And when they first came out with it, when I went to KnobCon and I was talking to them, I was literally like, why didn't you just make it a little bit bigger because you could be selling these things better, and people would be buying both of them. And, of course they're like, well, we didn't want to do it that way. It would have been too big. I'm like, okay, well, just a thought.
And in the case of the HydroSynth, it because I have the HydroSynth Deluxe, it feels like they just took for the panel design, they just took it into Photoshop and just expanded it.
Right.
And all the knobs, because all the knobs are big and chunky on there. It's just weird. It feels like everything's just physically bigger and a little further apart.
Right.
Yeah. They could have also made that panel a little bit smaller and then fit the HydroSynth there with all the control layout.
Yeah.
But it feels, that's one thing with my one problem with my Deluxe, is that it feels like either the controls should be more off to one side or more in the center or something like that, because the geometry is weird. It's got that big 6-octave keyboard and just feels weird.
Mm-hmm.
Is the Deluxe 61 or 88?
61.
No, it's 60. It's 73. It's got 6 octaves.
73. Okay, I knew it was something weird.
Yeah, it's a strange geometry, but it's really nice. I like to have. It's the biggest keyboard I have, and the poly touch on it is really, really nice. It's really nice.
I thought about using my regular old Skull HydroSynth as a primary controller. But the problem is, as you can see in my setup, I need a very shallow controller to fit, because I've got the 2 DSi models. But yeah, I was almost like, should I just ditch these and just use the HydroSynth?
Yeah.
Because it's such a nice keypad. Really, one of the nicest keypads.
I considered using it for mine, but it doesn't fit on my desk because I've got an Argosy it's a Halo K, and it's it's like 2 inches too wide to fit on. So
sucks.
yeah. I've got my little micro key air instead right here right now until I can figure out what to do.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is you can't find any real MIDI controllers that can do all the, like, I guess unless you have some MPE stuff, because otherwise you can't get the full polyphonic aftertouch thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had to, like, resort to doing live recordings so I can use the keypad.
Yeah.
Which is fine if you like doing 80 takes, which I love doing 80 takes. It's great.
Yeah, the design of that keyboard definitely is kind of funny. I think they should have probably taken a key from the Virus.
Yeah.
On that, the Virus is very smartly laid out.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's really nicely clustered.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Well, back then with the Virus, what they only had one, and it was cheaper for them too, because with the Virus, they only had the one control panel layout that they had to do, and they just cut the holes in different form factors for it. It was either the rack, and it's basically the rack with the keyboard there. They could just, that way they only had to manufacture one panel and just connect the keyboard connector to it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Hydrosynth could have done the same thing, but they chose to do it differently. Well, of course, the internals have to be different because it's got twice the voice count and stuff like that, which is very nice to have with that keyboard having the higher voice count.
Oh yeah,
that is definitely worth it.
Yeah.
It's what you pay for it. And
I question what they're doing with that stuff, because I'm like, you're taking the same engine and you're just sort of like mutating it, but when you start to pay close attention to it, you're like, no, I can see this. I can see where this makes sense.
Yeah, because it's got two 8 voice engines in it, or you can have it as 1 16 voice. So you can layer, and there's a trick you can do with how you lay out the keyboard so that you can get one sound on the ribbon controller and then another sound on the keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and that's cool.
Yeah, that was. I asked I cannot remember his name at NobCon when it was announced if he could do that. And he said no, they hadn't thought of that. But kind of sitting there, he after a minute he thought, wait, if you set the keyboard range for the second one like this, you're basically giving up one key at the end of the keyboard for where the split point, but then you can assign that sound to the ribbon. And,
are you talking about Glenn Darcy, Tony? Was it Glenn? Glenn Darcy?
Yeah, Glenn. That's it.
It's funny. That kind of reminds me back in the old days, the way you would keep cookie sessions alive was like a little pixel,
Yeah.
Keep a little pixel going there in the corner.
Yeah, just don't go playing a solo all the way up to the top and then hit that different sound.
So yeah, if you are a Cobalt 8 owner, get that 2.0 firmware. If you are not a Cobalt 8 owner, then get that Cobalt 8 first. And it looks like that Synth Anatomy, which we've been using for a lot of our links, is currently down. So luckily the next two stories are not Synth Anatomy links. So we are safe. But yeah, I mean the Cobalt 8, I mean the Cobalt and the Modal, whoa boy, both those devices are pretty inexpensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For what they are.
I don't need or want both, but I want one of them, and I can't decide which one I want.
Yeah,
more.
they're like they start at like $600 for the desktop / rack mount model.
I only have one VA technically, and that's the Arturia Origin. And I have way too many fucking wavetables now.
You've got a preference.
Yeah, everything's got wavetables now, so yeah, that does kind of help make the decision. But
Justin, if you want to buy, I have my KS4. If you want another VA, or you want you can how about my Z1? You want my Z1?
I want all the VAs. And
Z1, you can get some physical modeling action.
Virus.
And
I still regret selling my AN1X, but I did make a nice profit off of it, so I will say that.
Nothing wrong with that. I'm going to do that with my Alpha Juno because someone just gave that to me. So anything is a profit. I can spend it for $5. And
I'll tell you, man, that Hoover sound, that's what that thing's for.
Always me. Yeah. I can need a fucking synth, an entire synth for the
buy
fucking
it.
Hoover sound.
Gonna make any profit though?
What's that?
It's Korg because they keep blowing out.
Oh my God,
things.
so much blowout. They're blowing out more than a stylist. So Korg is
That was good,
blowing
Jeff.
out the XQ64 step sequencer. It's in the United States only. It's 40% off. So it's like $199 right now. It's usually $399, $329, I should say. But keep in mind that this device doesn't actually come with any cables. And the MIDI is one of those like 1/8" MIDI jacks.
It's,
Dumb
Yes,
cable.
it's the dumb MIDI thing.
yeah.
So yeah, so I mean, but granted, none of those things are extremely expensive. It's not like you're losing, $129 worth
Yeah.
of stuff, because it's missing 3 cables. But it's just kind of like, it's an interesting
Yeah.
decision on their part that they don't feel like giving you a cable or anything like that. So,
Well, the SP404 didn't come with them.
well,
The
It comes with a
SP404
interesting.
does not come with the adapter. It came with the power cord.
This one
this
doesn't
doesn't come with the power cord.
cable.
This doesn't come with any cables. This is wireless. This is a wireless sequencer.
I don't know, like what I remember watching Lupop when he did this, and after I watched the whole thing, I was like, okay, I'm never getting
Yeah.
that time back. Look, I don't. If you have a modular rig and you don't want to use the BeatStep Pro or something, then yeah, it's interesting. The polyphonic stuff's kind of interesting here, but I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me.
It's a very weird
Mhm.
sequencer.
It's interesting that because you can see all, well, they put all those buttons on there, like, so you think you're going to be able to work with 4 tracks at once, and you can in the drum
Right.
sequence. But then in the for the melodic sequencer, it does this weird where one row is the steps, and then the rest is some weird keyboard
Right.
for playing it,
Yeah,
for playing the notes in. And apparently, it's got a very weird workflow to it. I'm curious about it because I like sequencers, and I tend to like the weirdest ones the most because they get me thinking in different places. But I talked somebody else into buying one, and if they don't like it, I'll borrow it and then give it back.
nice.
So
That's a good strategy, Tony. I like
Yeah.
it.
I didn't want to buy it. Spend the $200.
Yeah, the one thing I don't like about it is the step thing. Like, so to me, like, I'm with you on that. If you're going to use a sequencer, I'm a keyboard player, and when I don't want to be a keyboard player, it's very hard not to be a keyboard player. Okay.
Yeah.
So like to me, that's why playing things with buttons is great, because I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing now, and I'm just going to hit buttons and see what happens. To me, like, the fact that when you go to do the step in there, you can't control the velocity. It's like immediately at
Right.
127, and I'm like, so the alternative is you can polyphonically play on their shitty keyboard, right? And then you can capture the velocity. I'm like, that's
No.
hope
Their little keyboard is not velocity
Right.
sensitive.
So the fuck.
You have to,
like,
if you want velocity, you have to edit it into each step.
Or you have to use an external
Oh, for
keyboard
Christ.
to play the velocity sensitivity.
They didn't think to put like 16 knobs
Right.
on it so that you could edit the parameters. It's really it really to me looks like they thought somebody at Korg saw the BeatStep Pro and said we need something to compete with that, and this was the best they could come up with in 7 or 8 minutes.
But they had the little tiny one before this, remember? It was the released with the MS-20, the MS-20 kit that they
People
sold.
love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was somewhat brilliant. That thing's really
Right.
really cool. But this seemed like it just seems half baked. Like they didn't spend enough time thinking about it. And if someone that wasn't into sequencers and just watched Lupop's video on the BeatStep Pro and then tried to design something that would fit with Korg. And by the way, you can't put any knobs on it anywhere. It's got to just be buttons. Which is the odd choice to me. If they had take one of those row of notes off and put knobs on it, and it would have been a totally
I
different.
count 6 knobs.
Yeah.
But I mean, either way, I mean, this is a much better ripoff of the BeatStep Pro than the one that Behringer put out, which is literally the BeatStep Pro that they just scraped off the words BeatStep Pro and put Behringer on it, and then charged you the same amount of money for.
Maybe Behringer should make a plastic record player
maybe.
while they're at it. They could fit Behringer in there.
They wouldn't have to be waiting on the chips.
Right, that's true.
Right?
I would.
'Cause it's,
I would die laughing if Behringer put out an OP1 clone
Right, the
for like $27.
and they would call it the BO1.
You know. Yes.
well, to out meta the meta, I want them to put out a DeepMind 12 clone.
Yes.
That was
Yeah,
that's
it's just a cheaper version
that's
of
yeah. I was gonna say
stuff
that
we
feels
make,
even
you know.
cheaper than the one that's already out. This keypad's made out of aluminum foil and broken dreams.
Yeah. And it's got 17 keys. We call it the Mindfuck 17.
Only every other key works.
It's a 61 key note, but only 17 of the keys work on average.
Yeah.
You don't know which one's gonna work. It just doesn't work. The budget wasn't there for it.
And if you sneeze really hard next to it, the ribbon cable will fall out. But if you open it up to try to plug it
But it
back in, you're
has-
voiding your warranty. So fuck you.
It's Wi-Fi.
They only have the white keys, and you have to select what key you want to play with a knob.
That way you're never. That way you're not accused of like Mozart, and Amadeus. Too many notes.
That's right.
Yeah. What they can make it really awful is make it like an analog pot that, did things in pure analog, so there was no so if you needed to go from a half step, you had to do it completely manually, like you were tuning an oscillator. I think that would be helpful.
The whole thing is it just plays a sine wave.
Yeah.
That's it. Just a sine wave.
Just
note.
one key and a very big tuning
Yeah.
knob.
Right.
Ah, yeah.
That could be kind of fun,
like it.
though.
Right.
I mean, that's just a theremin. You've just described a theremin. It's a theremin with an improved interface.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think Jimmy Page would look as cool, with the knob.
Well,
but I get
from
it.
what I understand, Jimmy Page's knob was just fine for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And speaking
Oh
of
my
knobs,
gosh.
our final story tonight.
Thanks, Jeff.
Gotcha.
Pro Tools has released version 2022.9 because nowadays they're just calling it by years and months at this point. So they've released their September 2022 edition of Pro Tools. What does that give you? It gives you Melodyne support.
What?
Yes. So if you are a Melodyne user, then helps out with that.
I mean,
Yeah.
Melodyne's
Still
cool.
gives you a UI that looks like it was designed by a third grader in 1974.
It does that as well.
God, Pro Tools
Wow.
is so ugly.
Yep.
It was almost not ugly in 2000, and they haven't changed it since.
Yep.
Yeah, this is the kind of software you'd expect in a nuclear
Yes.
power plant, like somewhere in the former East Germany. I don't understand it.
They give you aux IOs, so you can send out your audio to other output things. I mean, isn't that normal? Oh, it's only in the Mac OS version, so you can add any core audio devices as extra inputs and outputs. So instead of using the using any other audio routing tools or anything like that, you can do that in this.
Oh, that's how they're getting around not having AUV3.
Yep.
'Cause they-
What's their pricing on this thing? Like, what are people buying this shit for?
It's all subscription.
Yeah, it's a subscription.
All of it subscription.
Oh.
You can buy Pro Tools any
Gorgeous.
longer.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, and the good subscription to Pro Tools, let me see, because Pro Tools irritates the shit out of me with this. I don't like it when software companies make a piece of software and then strip features from it to get lower versions of it. Like they just like cut down track count stuff. Like Ableton does this too. I think it's dumb there, but at least Ableton's cheap.
Well, that's because they were like the fucking AOL of DAWs.
Yeah.
They're freaking like everything you buy came with
Ableton Light,
Ableton,
right?
like, extra light, non-fat.
100%. And it's not.
I bought this fucking, the stand mixer. Why does that come with Ableton? You know.
Sugar-free Ableton
Yeah.
Light.
I believe in Ableton Light because I believe in me.
Yeah. So Pro Tools Artist is $10 a month. That one gives you 8 audio tracks.
You're an artist. You don't need any more than 8 audio tracks.
This real artist could do it with 8.
Sure.
Studio. Oh, JK, I read that wrong. Intro gives you 8. Intro is free.
Okay.
Artist is $10. It gives you 32.
That's better.
Studio gives you 512, and then Pro Tools Flex, which is the one that is definitely like the one that's worth getting. It's $100 a month.
Did they really?
$100 a month.
$100 a month, but it has. So, what it also has is it lets you do. It has like better automation and audio post stuff in it, and a few other of the like. It comes with all of the like the Pro Tools plugins. A lot of them don't come with it. It's just very
Cripply.
Hey, I think this guy in the picture is playing a Prophet 6.
Oh, that makes it better.
And I think he's got a Moog 1 on
Oh.
the radio room as well.
Look at that.
Yeah, so I always annoy the heck out of Jody when we're watching movies, and I'm like, that's a
Oh
Prophet
God, yeah,
VS.
I understand. I do that.
Just, whenever there's a band in a movie, I'm always like,
What's
"What
going
you
on there?
got?
Oh, look at you!
What's
You're playing
going
a Roland. Of course you are.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
no, but however, no matter at what price point you subscribe to Pro Tools, it is still the last. Okay, there's two DAWs that I know of that are still not Apple Silicon compatible, and Pro Tools is one of them.
What's the other one?
Reason.
Oh, yeah.
I still run Studio One and
Because your
Rosetta mode.
plugins.
Yep. And it works
Yeah.
fine. No complaints. It still
Oh, yeah.
runs like a boss. Faster than my old Mac Mini in 2014.
But I don't even know where on the roadmap they're planning on introducing Apple Silicon support. It does make a bit of a difference.
I mean, this is still geared on
Right.
studios, right? I mean, not too many home users are like, yeah, Pro Tools. Let me.
No,
rock
you'd be
with that at home
surprised.
for
You'd be
whatever,
surprised.
I mean,
These people, because
You
they
think?
hear Pro Tools and they hear that that's like the industry standard, and so they're like, "I want the industry standard.
see.
I'm going to pay $100 a month for this thing." And this is like, these are the people that either have way too much money on their hands to know what to do with, more money than knowledge, or just people that just don't know any better and think that that's what they should go for because it's they've heard that term before.
Yeah. Oh, here's some of the fun features. Here's some very good ones. You'll enjoy these. So Pro Tools Studio is $32 a month. Flex is $100. Artist is $10. If you don't get into Studio, it doesn't have extended RAM utilization. I don't remember what the number is at this point, but it used to be like 8 gigs. Is all that it would address. They just like hacked it off.
Why?
That's
Wow.
just ridiculous.
I don't know what it is now. They've probably raised it. I mean, because that was a while ago that I saw
Wow.
that, but it wouldn't address all of your RAM. It doesn't support batch renaming until you get to Studio. It doesn't support batch renaming of clips. So if you want to change everything to call it like guitar, and you have all these other, instead of recording 1, recording 2, recording 3, recording 4, you can't like grab them all and rename them as guitar. You have to do them one by one.
Oh, that's painful and lovely.
Well, the nice thing is you only have 8 tracks to work with anyway, so.
Yeah, but they can have multiple recordings in those tracks. It's just you get 32 in Studio.
Oh, okay,
So,
right. But you can do bash renaming
know,
in
it
studio,
just-
so that makes it better.
It's very goofy to me, how they've done some of this stuff.
So did they remove the E flat at every octave? Like I mean,
every octave contains no E flat. Got to enter it as D sharp.
Right?
damn it.
Yeah, what else is there? Oh, there's no AFL and PFL on the tracks until you get to studio mode. They just disable having pre and after fade listen in your mixing,
Wow.
which is absurd.
That's okay. We replaced it with the AFL-CIO, your favorite
Yeah,
union,
perfect.
instead.
Like I can't imagine a world in which you would like disable that. I use that all the time.
Right?
Weird.
Yeah. Anyway,
That's-
Pro Tools is goofy.
So, yeah.
Don't buy Pro Tools.
If you're a Pro Tools user, get your monthly update to September 2022 version. If not, then don't bother. Just keep using what you're using. And that's the news this week. That's our show.
We did it.
We did it. Now it's time
Hooray.
for us to go to bed. Tony looks tired.
Indeed.
Andrew looks tired. Jeff looks tired. Justin looks sexy.
I'm ready to stay up. I'm drinking some tea.
There he goes.
I'm good.
There you
Good for
go.
the 4
He's
hours,
off to
guys. Come on.
adventures in La La
What kind
Land.
of tea? Is that ayahuasca tea? Or-
I'm always tired.
Yeah, it's Tetley's, man. I'm
Ball
boring,
sacks
sorry.
tea. Go play your video games, your MTV video games. In the meantime, we are going to raid over to Zen Modern Life tonight. So go enjoy the melodic sounds of Zen Modern Life and integrate Zen into your modern life.
I like the Modern Life. I like
Yeah.
that stuff.
It's good stuff.
Let's do it.
Anyway, we're going to zip on over to that. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Hey, JP Sputnik is on. Hey, JP.
Hey,
Anyway,
I think I blessed.
We'll see you in a few
I'm
weeks.
blessed.
take care, everybody. Have fun. Stay young. Drink Pepsi. Or don't, really, because that's just disgusting. Where am I going? Where's my
Ciao.
thing? All right. Bye, everybody. Off we go on the Great Space Coaster.